It's certainly nice to see everybody. This is a little bit awkward. However, it's good to see everybody. And I'll start by saying, I'm very proud of our staff. I'm very proud of our team, our players specifically. What they did today was, under the circumstances, was really pretty cool. And we're excited to get the win. First game of the season, obviously, first opportunity to be in Kinnick. We told the guys beforehand that it's special anytime we get a chance to walk into the stadium, and they certainly took advantage of that, specifically in the second half. And in regards to the first half, we had some missed opportunities. We had some of what you would call the norms in the first game, and just some things that I think we probably could have handled better a little bit. However, I think the second half is probably a better indicator as to what type of team we are. And I'll give a lot of credit to Illinois State, specifically to what they do defensively. And Brock Spack knows who we are. He knows kind of our DNA from his time at Purdue. And him as a head coach, him as a defensive coordinator, I wasn't surprised to see what unfolded there in the first half, and how they had a pretty good game plan. And then Tony Peterson and Travis Niekamp, the two coordinators, are both good coaches, are both veteran coaches, and they've seen a lot of football. So I think a lot of the first half was just the norms in the first game, and we've got some new guys out there in different positions, and I think just what you saw was an example of that. But certainly a well-coached team out of Illinois State, and we wish them the best. They've got a good football team. Hopefully both of their quarterbacks stay healthy, and they'll give them a chance. The second half, as it related to the game, just from a messaging standpoint, the big deal was just clean up our execution. Some things that shot us in the foot, there early on with some penalties and some things that ended up taking a little bit of momentum away from us. And anytime you take the momentum away from you really start draining, a little bit of the confidence as well. And that took place there in the first half. But the second half, I think, is a better indicator of, kind of the team that we are, and, what we're capable of. And we've got a lot to clean up. We certainly do. But, I'll end before I take questions with just, how unbelievably proud I am of our team, our staff, the way our players responded in the second half. And, this isn't a normal day-to-day around here, obviously, and our players handled it with unbelievable class to go in, at halftime up a score, but still in a one-possession game. The way that they responded was really pretty special to see. So with that, I'd open up for questions.
Start with Tom.
Tom Kaker, Hawkeye Report. Seth, what was this whole process like for you when you found out that you were going to be in this position, and what did that post-game celebration mean to you?
Well, in terms of the process, it's there's still really your primary responsibilities, which still exist defensively, and I'm pretty fortunate because I've got a group of veteran, mature, the whole room for that matter is a not a well-oiled machine, but you can imagine what it's like to coach Jay Higgins right now and Nick Jackson. Sometimes they humble you with the amount of football that they have. So but I didn't want this to become a distraction to them. So my day-to-day up until really maybe going into Thursday afternoon and Friday was what it has what it's always been, to include my time with Phil and what we were trying to do defensively. So, the process didn't change a whole lot until, probably Thursday afternoon. But, the celebration afterwards, I'm just, I'm happy for the guys. It was all about them, and it always has been. And the players win the games. Norm's told me that a long time ago. When I GA'd for him, it's not going to be about schemes. It's not going to be about strategy. At the end of the day, it's going to be about the players. And they certainly went out there and, they ended up winning the game for us in the second half. So the celebration was, a little bit icing on the top. But, it's always fun after a game when you win.
Hey, Seth. Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. I just wanted to ask about Reese Vander. I don't know if you saw that coming today, the 2 touchdowns and however many catches.
I was just asked that by Gary on the radio, and no, not surprised. Not surprised. I mean, that, Reese, probably for the first 2 weeks of camp, was, a freshman. and, he was in a freshman role. And then, I think our offensive guys started to see some things that he was doing that gave them the confidence that, let's put him in there and see how he swims with some of these other guys. And, so they put him in there, and there were plays that were made, plays very similar to the ones that you guys saw today. So not surprised. However, it is college football at its highest level, and when you introduce somebody of that type of youth, you just really aren't sure what's gonna unfold. And I think the story is even much better considering what happened in the first half. Because we were still trying to get our feet on the ground, from an offensive standpoint, and then he goes out there and makes some of those plays. The one where we were headed to the north side that he caught over the middle, those were impactful plays. So not surprised at all. However, just to do it in a college football environment, I think that says a lot about Reese.
Scott, then John.
Scott Dockerman, The Athletic. I wanted to ask you about, in the first half, it seemed like it was a missed block, a penalty, something just kept stopping drives on offense. What was kind of your message and Tim's message at halftime, and where do you think it got ironed out to where there seemed to be a real good flow on offense?
Yeah, I think, it was, what they do defensively is, they're finding ways to load the box defensively, and I think our tempo, the one thing that's probably reflective in the second half is our tempo offensively picked up a little bit. We talked at halftime just about the urgency, and I'm thankful we had a long conversation about this as a staff the other day, and I'm sure it's noticeable to you guys, but we did defer, which is a little bit out of the norm, around here, but. We were fortunate to get that first drive offensively in the second half, and we were fortunate to move the ball there. And I think that kind of led to maybe some of what existed, in the first half that gave us some troubles. But if you do look at it, what you should see is a little bit more urgency and a little bit more tempo was reflective there. And our guys bought into it. It was one of those deals where you come in at halftime and you're in a 6-0 game and you've got the lead, but it's still one possession. Something's got to change. And our guys stuck to the plan, but we did emphasize just trying to move the ball down the field, get in and out of the huddle a little bit faster, and not allow a defense that really feasts on looking at a picture and dialing into it.
John Seppi, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Going back to Reese's second touchdown, the one on the south end, didn't seem like that's a high percentage play usually, but somehow it happened. And then with the turnovers, kind of what do you think led to kind of some of those more opportunities than you guys had last year?
Yeah, I think we've placed. I'll start, John, with the turnovers. We've placed a greater emphasis defensively on turnovers, and I'm not sure who it was I spoke with in the preseason where. I think it might have been Mike. He had mentioned just in regards to our defense and Phil Parker's defense and what we've done statistically. The one statistic that was pretty glaring was as good as we were last year defensively, we were awful when it came to takeaways. Awful, and so we've placed a greater emphasis on that. We've actually talked to other folks in college football coaching staffs that have given us some ideas, and so we've tried to implement that stuff, and hopefully what you saw today was an indicator of that. And we actually had a takeaway taken away from us when Jay got called for holding. That could have been a momentum play, but to know that what it is that we're emphasizing is showing up on tape. We get a chance to talk about that with our guys tomorrow. That'll be a big deal. And then going back to Reese's catch that he had in the south end zone, it just some things happen. And some guys. Or just, that's the way they are. Desmond King, Cooper DeJean, you talk about guys that you've seen around here before that, they make plays, and sometimes you're just sitting there wondering, how the hell did that happen? But, it's football, and those guys are, it's nice to see.
Seth, Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Something that Kirk talks a lot about is playing complementary football. Could you maybe just touch on how close today was to the framework of kind of what you set out to do as a program?
Yeah, I think even though the two halves are noticeably different, I think what you find there is you find examples of complementary football in both halves. And the fact that, that we were able to overcome, some momentum changing penalties, some plays that were taken away from us, and yet still stay the course, offensively and defensively. And I know offensively it was a little bit of a struggle to get things going in the first half, but the fact that we were going out there defensively and trying to complement that with 3 and outs and giving them the opportunity, and I'll take full credit for the 4th and 2 that we tried going for on the plus side of the field. Like that was one of those deals where you got confidence in what you're doing defensively. They got the ball inside somewhere between the 40 and the 50, and I just felt like, hey, here's an opportunity where if we can get this, which we didn't get, but if we could get this, then maybe that would give us what we need offensively. But knowing that, whether it be our punter, whether it be our punt unit, whether it be what we had in the return game, even though some of those opportunities were taken away from us, certainly how we were playing defensively, like that was going to give us, that opportunity at that time to try to convert this 4th and 2 and see if we can get this thing, going. But, it didn't happen, but that's, and then the second half is an unbelievable example of complementary football. Just going out there and moving the ball down the field, changing field position, stopping them defensively, using your return game and your punt game to try to control the field position. I think both halves noticeably different, but, both great examples of complementary football.
Got 4 more in queue. We'll start with David.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. I gotta go back to Reese Vander. I think Luke and Cade both said he's quiet, but he was unfazed by everything going on. This is a guy who entered